Okay, so let's talk about Ocarina of Time, Mario Galaxy, and Banjo-Kazooie. Not. Even though Nintendo consoles are home to some of the best games ever made, there's also one or two games that are, let's say, not necessarily Game of the Year, and these games are gonna be the topic of today's video. What game is the worst game released for every single Nintendo system? Let's take a look. NES. Action 52. Okay, so what happened to Action 51? Okay, I'll stop. It's basically a cheap compilation of 52 very generic video games that are, let's say, inspired by other franchises. I mean, if the game should even work. Because a lot of these games crash or can't be beaten properly. But honestly, this game crashing might be the best thing happening to the player, to be fair. If you actually take your time though and scroll through all the 52 existing games, there are some enjoyable games, I guess. I say I guess because by enjoyable I don't mean you want to play them, it's more like you can play them without falling asleep after the first 10 seconds. Also, the graphics are horrible, even for the NES. I mean, games like Looney Tunes, Mario Bros. 2 or Friday the 13th appeared on the same console and look way better. Friday the 13th is actually another game that people say is the worst game on the system, but I would definitely disagree with that. I think it's just a bit misunderstood and actually a quite good game, but that's a topic for another time. And I mean, compared to Action 52, every other game looks like Astro Bot anyways. Game Boy Color, Pit Fighter. Quite fitting name, to be honest, cause the only thing you want to do with this game is throwing it into a pit. No, I'm not exaggerating. Look at that! I don't even care if the gameplay is fun or not. Spoiler, it's not. But to release a game with these graphics is insane. It honestly looks like one of these postcards that you can move around and it shows two different images. And it's also running at the same frame rate as these postcards. That's the same frame rate that Minecraft had on my 2009 high school PC back in the day. If I would be asked what's missing to make this game better, I'd honestly say everything. Change the frame rate, change the background, and change the gameplay. Okay, calm down. Maybe it's just cause it's on the Game Boy. Maybe it would have looked a bit better with color. SNES. Pit Fighter. Okay, color wasn't the problem. The game looks still absolutely horrendous. This is nuts. I can't tell you anything different about this game than I did for the Game Boy version, other than look at it for yourself. Keep in mind, same console that Street Fighter 2 or Clay Fighter appeared on. Okay, forget about Clay Fighter, but you know what I meant. Since I personally can't say much more about this, I might just gonna show you a couple comments about this game. I bought this version for $1 at a yard sale in 1998. Sometimes I wish I still had that dollar. My excitement when my dad bought me this game in 1992 quickly went away just seconds after playing it. Someone should go to jail for this game. Everyone sounds like they're either trying to crap or keep from crapping. Sometimes both. An incredible 10 FPS. This comment right here is being generous with the 10 FPS, to be fair. So what would I change about this game again? Change the background, change the frame rate, change the gameplay? No. The thing I've changed about this game is building a time machine out of some old Action 52 cartridges to go back to 1992 and somehow convince them not to release this game. That's what I would change about it. N64. Superman 64.
Slade and Jimmy Olsen have been kidnapped. Who will save the day?
Definitely not your game, sir. We all know the game. Fly through rings, fly through some more rings, and then fly through some more rings. Though the gameplay is a bit repetitive, to say it in a nice way. Also, another huge point of criticism for the game is the fog covering literally everything. But if I'm being entirely honest, the fog probably is the best thing that could have happened to the game, because otherwise we would see all the bad textures of the buildings in the back, or the game would pull a Pit Fighter on us and the frame rate would drop to like 0.5 FPS again. Also, a thing that I definitely wanted to mention is the advertisement for the game, because the advertisement doesn't consist of a single ring. There is not one. Not one. They know how to sell their game, I gotta give them that. They probably don't show the rings here due to the reason that they rushed the game at the end and maybe added the rings later into the game, but still, this is false advertisement at its best. Game Boy Advance, Legends of Wrestling 2. I mean, how bad can it be? Okay, where do we start? The graphics look like a naked mole rat ran all over a keyboard and designed Hulk Hogan and his homies in paint. No wait, even better. You know what these character images in the menu right here remind me of? It's the Barbie movie graphics. You might ask yourself how I know about the Barbie movie graphics. Good question. Let's continue with the video. This is technically speaking Pit Fighter with a bird's eye view and even worse controls. Only by looking at the movement of the characters, you can tell that this is one of these games where you kept pressing the D-pad harder and harder, hoping that it would help and change anything, even though you know it won't change anything. You know what else would have not changed anything? If this game got released. Or not. GameCube. Ah yes. With the GameCube, Nintendo wanted to start being a bit more edgy, a bit more experimental, and a bit more adult. Whoa, Nintendo, that's enough. Yes, you guys probably smell it from 100 miles away. The worst game for the GameCube is Charlie's Angels. This game is infamous on YouTube. Very infamous. It gets mentioned a ton when talking about the worst video games, and not only the worst video games on the GameCube, no, the worst video games of all time. Having the rights to make a game starring Lucy Liu, Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore made them have some interesting ideas for a game.
But what about the gameplay?
Gameplay? Oh yeah, I almost forgot to talk about the gameplay now that we've seen literally more of Polygon Lucy Liu than we should have. The gameplay isn't worth mentioning though. Some fighting sections, generic missions and climbing ladders. Long ladders. I wonder why. Out of all companies, this game got actually published by Ubisoft. Did they think, a hero with no limbs worked already, so why shouldn't heroes without clothes work as well? Cause otherwise, I can't explain this game. Nintendo DS. Deal or no deal? How could you not buy the game when Howie Mandel is looking at you like that? So now that you decided to buy the game, start it up and, well, you shouldn't have bought the game in the first place. That's not Howie Mandel. Mandel, I'm sorry guys. Deal or No Deal is a game based on a TV show with the same name, and it's actually quite simple to explain. Master Proper over here makes 26 ladies appear out of a pixelated goulash in the back, and then the show starts. My English is actually way too terrible though to explain the rules of the game, so here goes Mr. W. Okay, it's Wikipedia. The contender claims one case or a box at the start of the game, without its content being revealed. The contestant then chooses the other cases or boxes one at a time to be immediately opened or removed from play. Throughout the game, the player is offered an amount of money or prizes to sell back their case and end the game, being asked the title or question, deal or no deal. If the contestant rejects every deal and eliminates all the other cases, the player keeps the money that was in their original case. So far, so good, I'd say. And the show was actually quite fun when it first aired back in the day, but as a game, especially with visuals like this, I don't know. If you play one entire show, I don't see any replay value, except for if you want to win the jackpot of course, but just play any other DS game instead. Yes, any other game? Howie, you should go back to America's Got Talent instead of making your way onto the DS. You know, the show that is like,
my hamster died because I accidentally vacuum cleaned it.
And they gonna be like, golden buzzer. Yeah, that one. Nintendo Wii. If you've asked yourself by now, how did I even determine what's the worst game of the console? Let me explain real quick. It's a combination between online research, Metacritic scores, and my own experience. And own experience has a lot to do with the next game. Cause looking at Metacritic and other online sources, Sparks Racing or SPOGS Racing is often named as the worst game for the Nintendo Wii. I don't really like to think so. I mean, the game is not the best, that's for sure, and I get why someone wouldn't like it, yes. But compared to another game on the console, this right here looks like Mario Kart 17, coming in 2133 by the way. M&M Kart Racing. The controls, the sound effects, and the layout of the maps, cause yes, honestly, I think that's the main problem. Look at that layout. How on earth did they think it's a good idea to have so many turns in every single race? Imagine Mario Circuit, but let's put like 15 more walls and turns in here. It takes some talent to confuse the player that much that you get lost in a fun kart racer. I gotta give them some credit for that. Nintendo 3DS. Soccer Shootout. And the next game we're gonna talk about is actually a new 3DS eShop exclusive. That doesn't sound well already. The game is called Soccer Shootout, as I said, but it might as well have been called Mighty Beans Play Soccer. Cause what is this? This game looks like a mobile game that you would only download if you would download it on accident. But let's give it a chance. At least the game has some nice sound effects, right? No, it doesn't. They are edited in by me. This right here is the actual sound of the game. Wow, what an intense atmosphere. I could try and talk a bit more about the game, but you've seen everything the game has to offer. Literally everything. Hidden gem right here for sure, I'd say. Right? Wii U. First, I wanted to talk about Family Party 30 Great Games Obstacle Arcade. That's a mouthful, by the way. You know, a game that looks like it's an early GameCube game. The characters move like slow-mo and it's an obvious Mario Party clone. It has a Metacritic score of 11. And someone even rated it at a 0. I've never seen that before. But I still decided to name a different game as the worst game for the Wii U. eShop exclusive again. The game is called Haunted Hotel. This game looks like an itch.io horror game that gives you a virus. Super generic horror with some of the worst visuals I've ever seen on the Wii U ever. I didn't even know that the Wii U was capable of displaying horrible looking graphics like this. And even though that it is that beautiful, there is frame drops everywhere. How? The only horror that is happening here is the fact that you would like to play Superman 64 rather than this game. Yes, I go that far that I'd rather play Superman 64 than this. The gameplay isn't even worth noting, and I don't even have or want to talk about it. Just imagine any horror game ever from the early 2010s, and there you have it. Escape from a building or something.
Oh, okay.
These old school games had at least like 30 FPS more than this, and they work for free on a PC from 1999 probably. But this is an HD console. Look at Mount Wario next to it. Yes, same console. Whew, maybe the Switch will have something better to offer. Nintendo Switch. Room in the night sky. Well, that's what I get for wanting to play Superman 64 again, I guess. Cause yes, that's all it is. A Superman 64 clone. Superman 64 at least had an excuse for being bad, since it got released on the N64 and was rushed by the publishers. I mean, the art style is fine and quite cute looking to be fair, but there is just nothing on these worlds. Nothing. It feels so empty, almost eerie, and gameplay wise less interesting than Pong. Fly around and collect stars. Huh? You wanted me to say something more about the gameplay? I can't. That's the gameplay. At least we've got some different vehicles, so that's a plus, I guess. Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, for the Nintendo Switch 2, we'd be able to name 2,000 different eShop games that are worthy contestants to be the worst game on the Switch 2. There is slop here. Slop. But especially one game really comes to my mind when it comes to bad Switch 2 games. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. First off, the game itself is fine. For a tech demo that's included for free on the system.
What was that? It's not for free?
Releasing an almost $500 gaming console and not include the game that is meant to be the tech demo, this is classic 2020s Nintendo, everybody. The game itself, as I said, ain't the worst. The minigames are actually quite fun and show the features of the Switch 2 pretty well. But there's a catch. They are fun, yes, but only when you finally get to play the minigames. Because you have to click random stuff first to advance. And being able to play them. I mean, I paid $10 already. Let me play what I want, Nintendo. Also, the game is a launch title. Something that should get the player into the stores to buy the console. And then they return home and have this. I mean, the Switch 2 is not even 1 year old so far. So there will be most definitely still worth games to be released on the console. But for now, this was the game I really wanted to talk about. And that's it. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. What's the worst game that you personally ever played? Let me know in the comments. Please consider to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you enjoyed it. And until next time, God bless y'all, stay healthy, bye.